Oof, not the cutting board, sis. Ooh, the fool on the page of wands. Wow. Okay. Hi. Hello. Welcome back to It Is When It Is Tarot. This is Gimme Jimmy's Tarot edition, not sponsored by Jimmy's Iced Coffee. If I could speak. Not sponsored by Jimmy's Iced Coffee. Formerly known as ICC Iced Coffee Chronicles. Today it's Gimme Jimmy's. I've been to Cafe Nero. I think that's it. Honestly, most of my iced coffee, my feels like roommate. Mix up. Ooh, the Fool and the Ace of Wands. That's interesting. Because we saw the Fool with the Page of Wands. That it's a vibe. It feels like there's this vibe that like someone found something that was very significant, something very valuable, something invaluable, I guess. But it's almost like they didn't understand what they had when they had it. They didn't know the true potential, they didn't know the right usage. There's something that they didn't see, and because they didn't see it, they viewed something invaluable as something like valueless, something without any value. And it's like they left it behind. The someone being the Page of Wands, but now this hand in the clouds is holding this Ace of Wands. I guess it could also be an energy of an old passion that's coming back into the fold. Could be like a passion project or something that someone was passionate about. Since it was the Page of Wands, maybe as part of growing and maturing, they left it behind, and maybe now it's coming back. Some kind of resurgence. Now we have the Fool and Judgment, which is interesting. Well, I guess I was talking about something coming back, right? So, with the resurrection of Judgment, it could be an old passion resurrected. Um, Also, because of that Ace of Wands, it almost feels like it's something to do with timing. Oh, no, Judgment is on the bottom. It almost feels like it was something to do with timing. Like, a journey starts in a certain direction, something happens. It's easy to call it a tower. The person goes on what they feel is a detour, only to circle back to the original thing, but this time with all of the knowledge and information and experiences that they've had on the detour. The detour, it's like things gained in that detour. Either the world was spinning to catch up, or the self was evolving, or both. And now, like, something can work in a way that it couldn't before, or in a way, maybe there's like an application or a market. I know the right word is market, but I want like to use a different word. There's like a market for it now, where there wasn't necessarily before. All right, cool. So I'm gonna do what I've been doing lately, which is I still haven't added the phrases yet from the Diceology cards. I'm pretty sure I already have them in a file. So because that's the case, it'll be a lot easier to incorporate. Anyway, I just haven't done it yet. Also, I have about an hour, so hopefully I can actually not make this 5 hours long today. All right. So I wrote this before, and I kind of want to clear it before I add the screen, but maybe I won't. It's fine. Because I opened the program and I ran everything, so now I can just click run, and it's not like you haven't done this, you haven't imported this library, you haven't assigned those variables. I've been thinking about a few things. Um, Dreams like last week were kind of wild in terms of like I had one dream, and it's like I'll have a dream and then I'll wake up and I'll recall the dream and then I'll realize that there are ties, there are things that connect dreams for years, right? So I had a dream at some point last week. I didn't record it. I was like, I should record it. I should document that I had this dream so that if I have another one, I can reference it in the journal later. I didn't do it. Um, I don't even know. I think I did tell my journey buddy about. I don't know if I did to even like have the date that I had the dream, but it was sometime within the past week. I had one dream, and then I was like, oh, I should go back because after I woke up, there was a tie to another dream. Um, and the dream was interesting. I know I'm not giving any details, but that's hey. And then I had another dream that a few nights ago, and Chino, the family dog, because I would say he's my little brother's dog. I'd say he's my mom's dog. The family dog. Chino was in the dream, and I was like, I gotta let Chino out. So I went to let Chino out, and there was this little white dog, like a little white fluffy dog. And I remember in the dream, I was like, did they get another dog? Like, what's going on? I'm just visiting, like my mom. I guess my it was in the dream. It was like my mom, but the family had moved into a new house. It was a nice house. It had a beautiful backyard. It was like had a wooden patio and everything. It was cute, sizable. You know, one of those just let the dog out types of backyards. And anyway, um, the backyard was fenced in, but the dogs were outside of the fence. Anyway, I'm just like realizing that now because I'm like, it was a fenced in backyard. So I was like, oh, I'll just let them out and it's fine, right? I don't necessarily have to watch them because it's fenced in. But when I did go back out, like they were on the other side of the fence. So anyway, I was telling my friend about it when I woke up. And it wasn't until I was telling him about the dream that I remembered I had seen that little white dog before. And because I logged my dreams in a journal once upon a time, I was able to see the day that I had those dreams. And so the last time, I think there was a time before where I saw that little white dog, but he just like popped up in the dream where like he actually was significant. I had that dream 10/10/2020, October 10th, 2020. And then yesterday, I was like, oh, well, let me go back and see the date that I had like that other dream. I don't have my phone with me, but it was like 2018. In 2018, I had one dream, and it's interesting because I talked about this other dream before. In September, I had a dream with like a wind magic or a wind power or whatever. And it's funny because in going back to see how these dreams are connected, I had the original dream in 2018 and I tried to use wind to basically create a wall like I did in the dream in September. But in that dream, it didn't work. And then because I had the dream that I had in September, I was like, oh my gosh, like what I tried to do in 2018, I wasn't able to do until 2024. But in 2019 is when I had the dream where I encountered the obstacle that became the gift, power, skill, ability, whatever in the dream in 2024. And I was like, whoa. Like I tried to do it in 2018, but I didn't encounter it in a dream to know how to do it until 2019. Anyway, it's funny. Let's talk about my dreams. I'm a Pisces. But it was interesting because because of the evolution. So I guess even between 2018 and 2025, because in 2018, basically I had a dream that I found Excalibur, which was a sword. I just called it Excalibur, but I found a sword that like it could cut or interact with these like threads, and the threads were like magical or whatever. Excuse me. Um, ooh, strength at the bottom. And but anyway, like I found the sword and then I had lost it and I barely got to do whatever. So when I had the dream last week and it was like all kinds of magical whatever, I was like the environment was the same, the person was the same. Um, and after I woke up, I was like, oh yeah, like that felt like a continuation of the other dream. So anyway, it's fine. I don't know. It's just like to have those dreams long because I've had several dreams that after Queen of Cups and the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius, Cancer energy. Um, I've had dreams before. Some things I'll dream like out of sequence, some things I'll dream in sequence. And then at some point after years, it's like upon recollection, I can see how these dreams are connected. And I don't know. Seven of Cups, Three of Swords. I don't know. I don't know. It was just weird, I guess. And then again, like upon retrospection or reflection, it's so interesting to me that again, like in 2018, I tried to do something that I wouldn't dream until 2019. And because I dreamt it in 2019, now when I dream, it's almost like a catalog that I can sometimes access in dreams of like things that happen in other dreams that factor into my like knowledge within the dream. Like either something I've seen or something I've done. So it's something I'll know, right? Anyway, I guess I'll blame this 12 minutes and 34 seconds on the iced coffee. What are we doing today? That was one thing. I feel like there was something else I kind of wanted to mention, but I don't necessarily remember what it was. So I almost want to pull cards first. I do. I guess I do what I feel, right? Two, three, four from the bottom, and then five. Oops, this one tried to spin, and I'll move these here. Interesting. Cool. Is that nin? I don't have my phone. The kanji for year. It's not nin. Uh, the kanji for year comes to my mind because of how I set the cards down. I set them down 2-3-1, um, which was 2-2-1, but then the middle one is from the bottom of the deck. I think it is nin. Xingnian Kuaila, right? Nen? Or is it Nien? Kanji. Is it Nin or Nien? Because I know Nin is like um person, people. Yeah, yeah. Okay, it's Nin. Cool. And this is a kanji for year, right? Yeah, Nin. Toshi, Nin, year. Cool. I guess Nin is more of the Chinese, and maybe Toshi is more, but it still has the same reading, right? Nin, the kanji for year came to mind. But when I was saying it, I was thinking of, I don't, is that like Hito or Jean, which is the kanji for person? I don't know. It is nin. Yeah, yeah, like sanin. Well, that's more like nin than nin. Sanin, yonin. When I was saying nin, so I saw the kanji for year, but when I said nin, it made me think of the like nin, like people. Anyway, it's fine. Let's see. So I'm gonna roll. I'll put it up. It's fine. Excuse me. So here we go. There it is. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm gonna hit this, and it's gonna refresh. Ooh, oh, interesting. Five of Souls, the High Priestess, Sagittarius, Virgo, and the Root. I need to clean my glasses. I need to wash my hair. It's fine. So that's interesting. Five of Souls is interesting because I drew five cards and then I took one from the bottom. So five for the Five of Souls, and then the one from the bottom would be the Root. The High Priestess sitting. I don't know if the High Priestess is sitting between Sagittarius and Virgo, but it's interesting because we saw Sagittarius with Cancer and the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Cups. The Five of Souls. Um, my friend, I was asking him, like, how do I say that, like, my stomach doesn't feel good in Hindi? And I was like, what? Mere stomach achalagi nahi hai. And he was like, no, that's not how you say it. And then he gave me a line from a movie. First, he told me the word for pain. And then he gave me a line from a movie that I haven't seen. And I'm like, okay. But he said, he was like, there's a pain inside of my heart and it feels like a disco or something like that. For some reason, like that Five of Souls, it gives me like there's this battle, there's a contention within the self. Almost like there are these different parts of self that are battling for some kind of supremacy. And then like I remembered what he was saying earlier, but the whole disco part. Also, this is mutable earth and mutable fire. It feels like, okay, if I look at this in a mutable earth and mutable fire type of way, um, there's this like almost this battle between who won, like the truth of oneself and who someone is in real life. And it's in real life, it's Virgo, right? So it's like day to day, it's embodied. This isn't necessarily, it's almost like someone's default mode, who they are more generally, right? I feel like we have like different operating modalities. It's like there's a version of us at work, there's a version of us at home, there's a version of us like with certain friends, with certain family members, with other friends and family members, there's a version of us when we show up, right? But it's almost like this baseline, I guess. There's this baseline version of the self. And with this contention within the self, I don't necessarily always get Five of Souls as a contention within the self. I mean, it is the Five of Wands, but still, So how it's coming through today, it's almost like low hanging fruit. There's this battle between like the truth of someone, like who someone really is and who they must be or who they feel they must be. Or so it's like a battle between who someone is and who they must be. It's a battle between who someone is and like what they think they must be. But they think they must be both in terms of like, this is what people tell me I should do, but also what they feel they must be in terms of like, this is what I'm seeing, witnessing in my experience, in my reality, in my community, whatever. I want to do something about it. So I need to become whatever so that I can, both like internally and externally motivated, who one must be. Um, but when it's an internally motivated who one must be rather than an externally motivated, I guess either way, but it feels like when it's more internally motivated, we try to create something within the self that may not necessarily be there. At least if it's externally motivated, it's almost like there's a grain of sand for the oyster to pack whatever onto. It's like there's a nucleus for a cell or an atom to form around. I feel like there's a very specific image or word in my mind that I'm not finding. But it's basically like there's an anchor, right? If it's externally motivated, it feels like there's enough of an idea that we can assemble a bunch of traits and try to be that. But when it's internally motivated, it feels like it's trying to assemble a bunch of things, but without an anchor. So some of them don't necessarily stick or they don't find a common ground to build off of, right? It's like plants that are throwing their seeds in the wind and on the waves, but there's no earth for the seeds to ground into, burrow into, and then do their plant thing. It's just like seeds flying all over the place. Um, so at the root, at the base, again, it almost feels like it's trying to create or invent something that's not there. I don't, I guess, and that's an interesting place to be. 23, 23. It's an interesting place to be because part of me wants to say, like, oh, well, it doesn't work like that. Right. Part of me wants to say, if something isn't in you, if it's not within you, then it won't be. It doesn't matter how much you try to do whatever. But there's another part of me, it almost feels like, I'll just say there's another part. There's the part of me that's like, if it's not in there, if it's not within one's soul, if it's not within one's coding, if it's not within one's blueprint or wheelhouse or whatever, like it doesn't matter how much you will it, it just won't be. But then there's another part of me that's like, well, that's how people grow, right? Or that's like how a soul grows, develops, evolves, changes by, or it's like that's how a soul expands or something. Not everything we have, we were created with, or by the end of our lifetime, if you believe in one lifetime, within your multiple lifetimes, if you believe in multiple, as the soul grows, period, as a person, an individual grows, not everything that they have at the end or further in their story they started with. So there has to be a process of acquiring more, right? but it feels like now it's giving me like names. Um, Someone or something's true name is almost like a complete description of who and how they are. So if you, whatever L is the whatever of God, right? And that name is pretty like complete. So if that person, being, entity, whatever, goes through a soul expansion, it's like their name would change because now they're more than just what they were before. And it's like as their name is changing or as they're growing, that's that five of souls, that's that internal contention. Almost a rebalancing. And it reminds me of the eight Babylonian gates. Woo, it's been a minute. I should give them a rewatch. The Rare Gazelles, eight Babylonian gates. And I'm pretty sure it was gate eight, which was a rebalancing of the bodies. Now, there was some time in between when gate eight came forward and when gate eight sort of like revealed itself. And I don't remember I don't remember what was part of the revelation of eight and what was part of the like uncovering of eight, right? And the revelation of eight, I feel like it was in there, but I'm not necessarily sure. But it's like this reorganizing of the bodies. It's this restructuring of the self. Now, at the six of souls, it will come into some kind of harmony, right? But right now, it's the five of souls. This high priestess energy is interesting because I don't know if she's almost like a witness or if the high priestess is more of a, I mean, I guess either way, she would be a witness. And one way she would be witnessing the birth of something that she already knows is going to be. And another way, it feels like she is witnessing just to see like what happens. And this is interesting because it feels like this almost merges the last two in a way. Cool. I feel like that was it. At first, I was like, whoa. But yeah, that's what like the Sagittarius Virgo is really giving me mutable earth and mutable fire. The mutable earth is like who we are and how we show up in the world. The mutable fire being like our truth. And I don't even know if there's a card that I can look before and after. I guess I can look before and after. It's almost like I want to say like death because of the transformation of it. I want to say the world because the completeness of one and into the beginning of a new one. I guess in that way, I could also say the fool. For some reason, I want to say the hanged man. Um, this is really interesting. It almost feels like, but again, like without an anchor, because it feels like this is mostly, it feels like it's more internally driven than externally driven. But I guess regardless, either way, it feels like all of this change is happening, but the anchor is absent. So it's almost, the anchor would almost be a catalyst or something like an enzyme. Something, it's like an enzymatic kind of catalyst, meaning when it comes to the formation of like certain proteins and larger molecules, there has to be a certain conformation for things to form properly. And so, what an enzyme will do is it'll hold things in place basically long enough for them to figure it out. Otherwise, you have this and you have this, and they're both floating in an ocean of everything. And you have to depend on not only them coming into the proximity, but also being in roughly the right orientation so that they'll come together and click, right? And then after they click, the enzyme lets it go, the lock and key. The anchor is that enzyme. The anchor is what, like, it feels magnetic. It's what draws these things in and holds them within a certain radius to let them come to a stable configuration, right? And then after it's stabilized, then that's when it's atomic. It's like the negative charge outside of the nucleus of the atom balances out the positive charge on the inside. So then it's roughly stable, right? But without that, again, it's like it's a bunch of stuff just floating, and you got to hope and pray that it sticks or it clicks. You're just throwing stuff at the wall. Right. I'll be right back. My phone just went off. I got to see what's up. It may be about lunchtime. Woo! I know that was probably when I was. Oh, my phone is like literally behind my laptop. Also, I need to make sure this is charging because it may just die on me. Yeah, it's charging. Nope, not lunch. Okay. Cool. Now, this format, the way that I put these cards down, I saw Disney Pixar Disney Soul, excuse me, and I attempted to make a spread based off of the movie, and I mean the word attempted. And it almost makes me think of that layout. Um, Go away! Go away! Thank you. I guess I was gonna say that, but it's fine. I feel like, again, there are like so many things I could say, but at this point, it's not that it doesn't. I feel like we're in a time and in a season of finding out for ourselves, you know? Wow, if this had one more card, it would be the soul spread. So it's either missing, I think it's missing the spark. And I kind of love that it's missing the spark because the spark is the one thing in the soul that is like the most nebulous, right? Um, I think I did it like once or twice and I tried to make it work. And maybe it worked for the reading, but that's also the thing. Like I build these spreads and I want them to be open enough to be, I don't necessarily like too much definition, but I like enough. You know, it's a sweet spot. What's at the bottom of the deck? Bottom of the deck is the Two of Wands. This Two of Wands is making me think of so in the beginning it was the Fool with the Page of Wands and then the Fool with the Ace of Wands, and there was that energy of like maybe a passion coming back. Maybe we didn't see the worth or the value in something. Um, but because of this, we've also seen this Two of Wands recently. Recently and like recently, right? It could have been months ago, but I haven't gone live that much, so you know, especially comparatively, um, 3 times in a month. Whoa, you know, let alone a few weeks, right? But we saw that Two of Wands recently, and it was an energy of like basically picking up what the divine was putting down. And the Ten of Cups is under the Two of Wands. That's what the Two of Wands is looking at. This is such an interesting energy. I saw The Wild Robot recently. Great movie. I cried 2 or 3 times. And I got to watch it by myself, so I got to be in the moment, rather than like having somebody constantly looking at me to see if I'm crying or ask me, "Are you crying? Did you cry yet?" I'm like, gosh, I would have if you weren't ruining this moment. Um, and again, it goes back. It's like this energy of seeing that there's a need in the world and growing to fill that need. This is so fascinating. Usually it's interesting. It's like, it's kind of wild. And like, it almost gives me the energy of like someone who forsakes something to become something else. Again, it's the same. It's a very similar imagery to the Fool that went from the Page of Wands to the Ace of Wands. But it's almost like I feel like there's a saying or a phrase that's trying to come to my mind. But I think maybe the context is different, and that's why it's not fully clicking. Like there's someone, it's almost the entry for a semyaza. Um, the shadow of a goodness, I don't have it. It's like semyaza, the angel sang, and something fell through the heavens, and then that shadow looked up, saw the light of a star, and it's like semyaza forsake his humanhood to embrace, reclaim his divinity. Semyaza, the angel of pride, he was the first of whatever. But it's almost like there's someone or something forsaking what the divine had given them to become something that they see that the world needs. And again, because it's so much of internal processing, like this is what I'm noticing in my environment, this is what I'm noticing in the world, this is a need that I identify, and I feel like it's on me, voluntarily or not, to become more so that I can fulfill it, right? It's because it feels so internally motivated that I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable being like the divine, your intuition is leading you down this path to whatever. But I feel like that's also why the high priestess is here, right? Because it makes me think of the forest with I believe, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering cards, one of those booster packs. Yeah, because it was Mazzy the True Sword Paladin. There was an energy of the secret grove in the forest or the clearing in the forest. And when you're in the woods, there is an oasis. There's a part of the woods that your guides will not guide you to. That's how it read. There was a clearing in the woods that your guides would not guide you to. The wolf came out in the Archeo archetypes deck, and I read the tale of the wolf. There was someone who was lost in the woods. He saw the wolf. He thought the big bad wolf was going to eat him, but the wolf led him out of the woods. It was the perth, the scent of that pear in the woods leading you to the secret grove. But again, and it's not that you have to forsake divinity, or it's not that you have to go against the divine or whatever. It's almost like God gives his hardest assignments to his toughest warriors or whatever, right? But it's almost like there are some assignments, there are some tasks, there are some positions that are so hard to fill that God, the divine, would not give anyone that position. It's something that people take upon themselves to become more, right? And then there's the question of the Orishas, the Bodhisattvas, the Elishas, and whoever else I can't remember right now, the Enochs, people who like ascend humanity specifically while they're still alive, but also people who lived a life so full and so divine that after their passing, they're elevated into a divinehood. And that's what this is. It's like it's forsaking the divine, but it's forsaking one's creation. That's also why it's this wild robot type energy, where she was like going against her code, going against her programming to be a mother. She wasn't programmed to be a mother. She wasn't programmed to speak animal or do whatever, but those are all things that she achieved, attained because love and the responsibility that was thrust upon her by unfortunate circumstance, you know. But it's also because of that same unfortunate circumstance that certain characters were able to thrive in a world that would usually that they wouldn't belong for, right? This is so interesting. I feel like the more I'm like, the more iced coffee I sip, the more I'm like, oh, this is like it goes from interesting to fascinating to just like. And again, it feels like this is such a like there is a depth to this. It goes all the way to the root, first of all. And I almost feel like the fact that there is no element here is going into because only we have the elements of earth, water, fire, and air. Earth, water, fire, air. But there is no ether, there is no spirit. This is the five of souls, and it feels like it's a reconfiguring of the soul. So it's almost like the element of ether, the element of life, the element of the love that everything is made of, the prime pre-elemental energy before energy is manifests as a specific element and then takes on a certain form. It's just raw energy. This is like someone like hacking their own coding and inserting lines again to be more because they see a need and they plan to fill it. This is so interesting. Take it as it resonates. If it resonates, I believe in metaphors. This could be you are a parent to a child that has needs that are completely like alien to you because you don't know anyone else who has the same needs as your child and you have to figure it out, right? So you are just like the wild robot. You are going off script to just do like allowing your love for your child to help you navigate whatever unknown is out there. It could be someone working a job and all of a sudden you get asked to do something that you've never done before, but you're on Coursera, you're on YouTube, you're on uh, one of those forums where you put in a question and people give you answers. Like you are becoming more to fulfill a certain need. Like we can take it all the way down, it can go all the way up. Here, it's all the way up, but you can you can bring it all the way down if you need to, if you want to, right? All right, I do gotta wrap this up soon because it's almost lunchtime. Wow, this is high key kind of wild. And like this high priestess, I feel like The high priestess here, it feels like I can see like the face of the divine, like smiling if the divine has a face. Like a physical face, but but almost like a pride. And like, because again, it could be something that someone was always meant to do. But again, it feels like an energy of like this task, this responsibility would never be put upon someone because of the weight of it. And even if someone chose this, because it feels like something that a lot of people would choose, but they wouldn't necessarily go deep enough to change like their very core being, their soul, right? It feels like a lot of times maybe this is something that we can aspire to, and do things of a relative depth, but it doesn't necessarily root the same way that this roots, right? I don't know. Let's look at the card that was on the bottom of the deck first. They're all face down, by the way. Huh? All of these cards are face down. The card that I pulled from the bottom of the deck in the middle of these five cards is literally the High Priestess. What? Oh my gosh. I promise. The cards are face down. I promise that wasn't planned. But also, we saw the High Priestess with the Emperor and the Empress the last time. The High Priestess has high key been here, and yeah, it was like her energy. But instead of the High Priestess, it feels like some aspect of the divine or the High Priestess. And anyway, it is. She's here, sort of like observing and witnessing. But actually seeing her here, um, it feels like there is some kind of anchor. But it's this glowy thing in the mental image that I see. Because again, at first it was just like this chaos of the five of souls. There are these different parts and pieces of the self that we're trying to like combine, and depending on the amount of force, we could be like distorting to try to force things together that just like won't fit. Excuse me. But when the high priestess revealed herself in the middle of this, it feels like there's some bright, shiny thing, almost like a sun, I guess. And like a sun, it establishes orbits. So it gives, and like the electron cloud, the electrons orbiting the nucleus. Okay. This bright, shiny thing is the anchor. At first, when I was saying anchor, I was thinking like a black ball, almost like a black hole, I guess. I was thinking more like a black hole, something that like pulls things in. But when the high priestess showed herself, it was like this bright, shiny thing that's like a sun, and it establishes these orbits and rotations of these different things. Now there's a constellation of the self, which is a series of stars. And I feel like a lot of times, at least when I think of the energy of constellation, I don't necessarily view every star in that constellation as having its own system, right? Not always, at the very least. Sometimes I feel like in certain instances and situations, yes. Strength was at the bottom. It is a kind of Leo energy because I feel like before Leo's gotten the message or had the image of like, you are a sun, you are the sun. You sort of like established these solar systems, things like, the whole world doesn't revolve around Leo, except, sometimes multiple worlds kind of do. um, the constellation. would be, see, but then there's a whole bunch of reconfiguration, which again, it doesn't necessarily feel dissimilar to the chaos of things just flying all around without an anchor. But it's like there's this a new star in a constellation, but many of these stars, if not all of them, have their own systems, solar systems, right? And so as this new star comes into the constellation, there's a certain like shifting of gravitational forces. And then as this new star, now some of these bodies may actually like, she's giving me like low key three body problem type energy, but without the problem, without the problems that the three body problem people were having. It's like there are certain bodies that kind of sort of like dance around the different stars due to where they fall in the orbit, right? Like you have two stars and there's this planet going around this one, but when they get a little further out, as these like, and these two stars like do whatever they do. When they're closer, if the two stars move closer and the planet is like if they're here but the planet is on the other side, it's not gonna like it's not gonna pull a planet through the star, you know what I mean? But if it's like this and the planet is here between them, then it may like go into this planet's orbit. And it's almost like some of the planets kind of dance through this solar system, through the constellation. Some of them don't. But anyway, as you have this new star and it's getting more planets, it feels like first, it's like there's things that are rebalancing and shifting. And this rebalancing and shifting is like the name, someone's name changing, their true name changing. Um, Also, I feel like this isn't necessarily fully relevant. It's fine. Um, Excuse me, someone's like name, true name is changing. Let's go for the bottom card. Ooh, the Three of Cups. Let's just flip all of them. Three of Cups on the bottom. The Eight of Cups and the Tower are flanking the High Priestess. And then the top two cards, it's the Emperor and the Seven of Cups. This is so interesting. Every card of these five that isn't a major is in the suit of cups. Seven of Cups, Eight of Cups, Three of Cups. This is 18 Cups, which is the Moon of Cups, which is appropriate, I feel. And then the majors we have, it's the Emperor, the High Priestess, and the Tower. Now, the Tower is Mars, the Emperor is Aries. The only side of Mars that we don't see is Death, which is Scorpio, feminine Mars. Again, I feel like that plays into um, that energy that, like, this is not a path that people are guided to. This isn't something that the divine asks of anyone because of the weight of it. People can take it upon themselves to do whatever. And when you take it upon yourself to do whatever, you better have the strength, the gumption, the conviction, the backbone, the everything. It's not necessarily a supported path. It's not feeling to me. I'm not interpreting it as one. Doesn't mean it isn't one. Doesn't mean that nobody is called to this. This is just how I'm feeling it, how I'm reading it. I could be wrong. But again, it feels like something that the ego of man will call themselves to, but it's like the ego of man may drive them to certain positions that they feel called to, but if they don't have the strength, the whatever to back it up, they'll crumble. Right. Or they won't go all the way. This 18 of cups is elevated to a 28 of cups because the 10 of cups that's under the two of wands. That's what the two of wands is looking at, the 10 of cups. Interesting. And then the Seven of Wands is under the Ten of Cups. Nine Wands, 28 Cups. Yeah. And with, again, so the Emperor and the Seven of Cups, the Emperor chooses something that is not presented as an option, right? And then flanking the High Priestess is this Eight of Cups in the Tower. And it feels like this tower feels like it is. That's so funny. It's fine. I saw a short of a person who became like a completely different person. It was an anime. And I was like, this anime is like old. I watched it. I was like, okay. Anyway, um, it's like when you go off grid or when you go off script again, to me, this is reading like a path that is not supported. And so this tower is like, it's not necessarily someone's life falls apart, but it's like there's living life at the edge. Um, this energy has been here before, where it's like when you go off script, then things load in real time, right? It's like if you're playing a video game, the reason why you have to wait at a loading screen, hey, not today. I'm actually got like 10 minutes left. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Um, it's like usually everything is preloaded, right? So you see everything, you're interacting with everything. But when you're living at the edge, it's like things are loading in real time. So as you are taking steps, as you're moving, the environment is loading, the textures are rendering, like people are being populated, the grass and everything. The tower here with this Eight of Cups feels like this is someone who's gone so far or so fast that the textures, the map, it's not even loading. And so it's not, it could be, it's like, it's not that it's not there because everything is pre programmed, but like the textures haven't loaded, the people haven't been populated. So it almost feels void like, but the potential of everything is there. So even though like the trees and the grass and the people haven't loaded, even though the mountain hasn't loaded, it's like it's there, but it's not there. But it's almost like, excuse me, it's this void space that allows for an expansion because things haven't loaded yet. And so it's like if something is pre-programmed to load, like let's say there's a person that is going to spawn at this location, but whatever whoever this energy is like roaming the map before things are loaded. If this energy is in the place where something else is supposed to spawn, it'll just like spawn near it or somewhere else. And so, although it is like pre programmed, there is a kind of interaction, I guess, that is possible. And then the Three of Cups is here, sort of by itself. I kind of love this. Okay. So, because again, in the spark reading, in the soul spread or whatever, it's a 7 card spread, but there's only 6 cards here. The thing that was missing is the spark. There's like this Three of Cups energy, which is an energy of coming together, celebrating one's differences. We're not all exactly the same, and we don't have to be. It doesn't matter. Like we don't have to look at similarities and things that we have in common, and or it's not here, it's not seen, it's not shown. I would guess that the High Priestess knows what it is and who it is, though. because she's the high priestess. Duh. All right, it's lunchtime, and I feel like I've hit the end of this anyway. There's a part of me that wants to. Oof. Oh, interesting. So we have the Four of Pentacles, we have the Hanged Man, we have the Knight of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. So it was Judgment. I was gonna say there's a part of me that like wants to see what this mysterious whatever is, but I'm not gonna. But I picked up the deck. The first card I saw was Judgment again. See, there's these three, like the Three of Cups, and there's something that they're uniting with. The angel blowing the trumpet in Judgment feels like the high priestess, because again, it feels like the high priestess knows what this mysterious spark energy is. The high priestess is the one that's like, okay, like you can come out from behind the curtain or whatever. It's one of those almost like TV talk show moments where they have a guest and like, oh, we know that you're obsessed with this person. Well, guess who we have here in the studio today? And they're like, oh my gosh, is it Beyonce? And then maybe it is, maybe it isn't. There was the one with Adele, right? Anyway, it's fine. So the first card that revealed itself was Judgment, and then more cards fell, and I saw the Knight of Wands. Between Judgment and the Knight of Wands is the Three of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. And then I saw the Hanged Man, and then I was gonna try to stop it there, but the Four of Pentacles like revealed itself. Which is the last decan of Capricorn. Anyway, it's fine. Interesting. The last time we saw the Hangman, maybe not the last time. I remember when we saw the Hangman, I think it was in the foil of the Piscean Dream or whatever I titled that video. It was like an interaction, a revelation, a truth, something that we kept returning to. But every time we go back, we see a clearer and clearer and clearer picture. We see more and more of the truth that's trying to be communicated. Maybe we learn, we grow, we evolve, we change, we mature. So every time we revisit something, we can see deeper and deeper and deeper, and we can process more and more and more. And what something means to us now can be different than what it meant last year, 10 years ago, and what it'll mean tomorrow or in the next 3 seconds. Judgment is Pluto. Judgment is fire, is Pluto, because of Pluto is Scorpio. So here is that scorpionic energy that we were missing. But we get it as judgment rather than as death. The Emperor, the Tower, and Judgment. It's interesting. The Knight of Wands is Sagittarius. The Hanged One is Water, is Neptune, is Pisces. The Four of Pentacles is Capricorn. It's the last decan of Capricorn. I don't know who rules that decan. I don't know what planet it is in Capricorn. I don't remember. But it's interesting that it's not Virgo, because Sagittarius and Virgo were the cards that came up. But the root is there. Right? Ooh, it's time for me to head down for lunch. The root, he's standing on 2 pentacles. Excuse me, it's interesting because it isn't just one. Cool. Take it as it resonates. If it resonates, if it don't resonate, don't take it. Allow it to unfold for you in whatever way it unfolds for you. Always, always, always use your intuition and discernment, regardless. It don't matter what Patrick see. If your intuition and discernment is telling you otherwise, go with that. The Four of Wands, the Eight of Swords, and the Page of Pentacles. Cool. Interesting. Interesting. It does feel like, though, for some, this could be birthing a new version of the self. For someone else, it could be uncovering a part of the self that already exists, right? And again, it almost feels like it sits in that high priestess energy. Either the high priestess is observing the unfolding that she already knows to be, or she's observing the birthing of something new. Nine of Pentacles at the cut with this Two of Wands. Okay. I don't necessarily have to shuffle these because, it's a program or whatever. And I think I won't. I'll just get a final card. Even though I kind of want to do it, but it's lunchtime. So I don't want to make this any longer than it is necessarily. One card flipped over. It's the Eight of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords into the Eight of Swords, it gives me the energy of the Eight of Cups, the High Priestess in the Tower. Under this is the Five of Swords. We saw the Five of Swords. No, we saw the Seven of Swords behind the Five of Swords last time. The Six of Swords and the Eight of Swords, it's giving me that feeling of being in a space before things have rendered, before the textures have loaded, before the map has loaded. It's the energy of the Tower, where it's like before it was an energy of an image of like living as the textures are loading on the edge of things like populating, but this has gone beyond that. That's why the Eight of Cups is here. Four of Cups at the cut, because I have to break this in half to put it back. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and what you find. And for the first time ever, I think the video ended before the iced coffee. So, hey, I guess there's a first time for everything. Bye.